Greetings, this is Mr. Nobody again. Another series, the Maga Republican. And this part is about the Maga Republican and the Globalists. We have a bigger enemy than merely even communists or Democrats. We call these the Globalists. Now, what is it? There's a whole organized group of individuals who already control massive billion-dollar companies, whole nations, and everything else. And they all get together and figure out ways to screw everybody else over. That's what they do. They get together and they figure these things out. In the old days, they would gather in the Hotel Bilderberger. Now they gather in Davos. And it's not that far removed from some of the other famous groups you would hear about, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and all these different groups that really are playing with the world. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, what was that? I think it's from a James Bond, where it's like he plays or someplace there, he plays he plays Monopoly with real buildings. And that's what they're doing, only now it's not just real buildings, but real whole societies. And I think the goal of one of these guys really says it all and should creep out anybody and everybody who ever hears it. Because, and I'm going to name a guy, I don't like to do that, but I'm going to name a guy named Klaus Schwab. I know he runs an investment firm. If you're allowing these people to manage your money, pull your money out, because they are using it to spread a lot of harm. Now they're going all ultra woke and damaged and all this kind of stuff and so forth, and so that means it's not going to be a good thing to invest in anyway. But even if it did pan out as an investment, it's blood money. You don't want to be, you're making money off of basically the creation of slave labor around the world. It'd be like owning a stock in some company that uses North Korean concentration camp labor to make shoes or something. Do you really want to get rich off of that? Even if you did, would you really want to do that? What kind of person could do that? I mean, if being to the right is about being moral, you're not going to take blood money. So what do these people say? They say, you're going to have nothing. Well, let me just expand it out to the full thing. You're going to have nothing. You're going to be nothing. You're going to say nothing. And you're going to paste a plastic smile on your face and pretend to be happy, or else. That's their agenda. And to me, that just absolutely creeps me out. And the thing is, they get a lot of mileage. The European Union is just totally run by these nasty, villains. And look what they're doing. You know what they're trying to do? They want to cut down the food supply. Because their solution to all the world's problems is to reduce the human population to, a whole lot less than it is now. So what do? You make it so there's no way to make anywhere near enough food for everybody. So I guess if you're rich enough, or this enough, or that enough, you might be able to feed yourself. And as for everybody else, in the words of Ebenezer Scrooge, let them all starve to death and get rid of the surplus population, To which I remember the Spirit of Christmas, Pastor President said, maybe you might want to reconsider who or what is the surplus population. This man's child has more claim than you do. I mean, it's something to that effect. You get the idea. But that's what they want to do. And we start with the Netherlands. Now, I don't know what's become of this recently, but there was a lot of protesting farmers. They were driving all up and down the streets of the Netherlands with their tractors and so forth, and all to draw attention to the fact that all these weird, destructive laws that would make it impossible to operate a farm. Now, look at this. These Netherlands farmers, they know their stuff. They've been doing this all their lives. And how long? Well, consider that the Netherlands is and has been the breadbasket, or one of the main breadbaskets of Europe for literally thousands of years. So these people continue working the same bit of land year after year, generation after generation. Now, I don't know of anything more sustainable than that. And that's what they want to do. But instead, they've got this government that's corrupt and disgusting, trying to prevent them, trying to micromanage stuff. And it's kind of like, Red China's great leap forward. We're all going to try to grow wheat, even in places that it's way too cold and the wheat will freeze and die. And you're going to be spending around, we can't even afford to buy fans that are powered. You're going to be running around, all the peasants running around through your fields, waving blankets and pieces of cardboard to try to keep the wind moving so the wheat won't freeze. But almost all of it does anyway. And, they starved. And a lot of people died of that starvation. And, well, that was the real goal all along. There was no leap forward. It was just or another thing we hear from them, the Great Reset. Well, yes, we've already seen a Great Reset. That happened back in Cambodia in 1975, when Pol Pot decided to declare the year zero. There is no past. There is nothing from before. All the institutions of knowledge and everything else from before is now null and void. It doesn't exist. We are starting from absolute scratch. And Cambodia starved, died. It was a violent place for several years. All because they wanted to create this year zero thing. They had their own reset. And now these characters are plotting to do the same thing to the whole world. So here's another thing. Some Republicans buy into this stuff. Not mega Republicans, I'll guarantee you that. But some of the other ones, the never Trumpers, for example. What makes somebody that? I think because they want that to happen. Or at the very least, they're not willing to get in the way of it. It goes back to what I said a whole lot earlier. That the other kind of Republican just kind of preserves whatever the current state of affairs. If we create a reset, we'll just hold that reset in place. The MAGA Republican fixes things. When somebody else breaks stuff, we fix it. We reverse it. We take it back to what it was that was working for everybody. Our farmers know their business. You see, politicians don't. They have no business micromanaging our farmers, our factory workers, which now barely exist these days, thanks to a lot of the same kinds of stuff. And there's been just nothing to protect them. They are deliberately sending all the jobs overseas where there's no protections for a lot of things. So, businesses do have responsibilities. They have a responsibility first to their owner, proprietor, partners, shareholders, and so forth, to, survive as a viable business, to make a profit. That's one of the things you go into business for. Not that you just have to make some obscene profit at the expense of everybody else, but you make a legitimate, honest profit that everybody associated with it in any way can look at that and say, well, that's good for you. Congratulations. You've earned your money. Good for you. The next one is the people who work for it. You have responsibilities to those people. Reasonable working hours, safe working conditions, and other general benefits that are widely accepted and recognized as things you should do. And you have your responsibility to your customers to supply a good quality product and be able to handle things like returns and things like that to make the customer as satisfied as possible just by doing what they paid you to do, which was to make this widget or grow this thing or whatever it is. You see? Now, there is a responsibility to the environment as well, yes, but you want something that's realistic. Something that makes sense, and in particular, something that's in line with what farmers have already been doing out of their own expertise as farmers for all these generations. Now ESB will be claiming is one of the things they're doing, or ESG, I should say, by these globalists. They say, oh, we want to help the environment. No, they don't. They want to screw it over, and they want to make the planet Earth look like the planet Venus before my measly little lifetime is out. That's their goal. That's what they want to do. And, after we turn the world into a North Korea, the next thing is to turn it into a clone of the planet Venus. Because that's what they really want to do. The crazy madcap schemes they do is to try to micromanage stuff like farming, like industry, that they don't know a thing about. They don't understand how anything works. All they know is how to break stuff. And so many European governments just allow this. And now this thing is going to spread its tentacles into every other country in the world, every company that does business with them. And we need to get the strength to just tell them to pound sand. That's the best thing we can do. Just tell them to pound sand. We're not going along. Now we have the real concerns. If you want to talk about environment, let's go back to those Netherlands farmers and others like them in Spain and Italy and other places where lesser protests of the same sort were held. These farmers have worked the same plot of land for dozens or hundreds of generations. The land is still fruitful and fertile. They keep it that way. It's truly sustainable. They know how to do that. Some government micromanaging weenie hasn't a clue. What they really want to do is make it so you can't grow anything. Then you take all this farmland that is no longer usable because of this, and you build all these concrete ghost cities where nobody will ever live, and just turn the whole land into a great big disaster, like a war zone. Only the buildings will probably look nicer, or there won't be running water or working sewers or anything else. That's what they want to do. And we've got to get in the way of those guys with everything we've got. So now this is kind of an interesting thing. This is like the real big evil. And I'm grateful to say that even, not many, but some Democrats are starting to see this. But, everyone, the more the better, can fight this, because this is a real evil. It's what makes all the villainous kinds of Democrats villainous, because they let these bad actors tell everybody what to do, tell them what to do, and from there tell everybody else what to do. And we need to stop listening to them. My fondest wish would have been when Biden says stop the Keystone Pipeline, would have been for all those workers to just keep right on going like he didn't say a thing. That would have been the best thing to do. And if they want to send in somebody and say, hey, you can't do this, well, that's where the patriotic militia is coming. You get any closer, you're going to be in trouble. Stay away, keep your distance. We're doing our job. Don't bother us. You bother us, you're going to put yourself in harm's way. That's up to you. That's what we got to do. We've got to stand for what is right. And what is right. America handles its fossil fuels far more responsibly than almost any other country in the world. And instead, we get dirty oil from dirty mining techniques from Venezuela and other places. You see, we wouldn't do that. We don't do that. Okay, maybe the oil's a little bit more per barrel, but we're doing it the right way. And that's fine. That's good. That means we bring all our energy independence back here where it belongs. And yeah, we're working on other sources of energy. There's still some hope, however distant and dim as thermonuclear fusion. Here's another idea I'm kind of surprised nobody's made anything of, which would be, how do nuclear reactors, the ordinary fission kind, work? You just have all these radioactive materials that generate heat. And you know what the waste does that they're throwing away and storing by all these difficult, complicated things? It also just makes heat. It seems to me there ought to be some way to use even that stuff to just keep on generating heat, to make steam, to run turbines, to turn generators, to make power, and just keep doing that until the radioactivity itself is really gone. And even then, you could probably chemically separate out the parts, that are still active from the parts that are practically dead, and just keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. So, there's got to be ways to do this. A, that gets rid of the waste. B, that allows us to continue having stuff. And here's another one, is thorium, which is another source of nuclear power that really hasn't been much explored or exploited. But it's a whole lot better, and thorium is a much more common element. And when it decays, the products are much less harmful. There's just so many things that we really need to work on. And we need to stop just being afraid of nuclear power and instead learn to manage it carefully and responsibly and make it work, because it has no carbon emissions. You know, I think that's got to count for something. That seems to be a big priority. Um, anyway, so globalism is the opposite of being in a world of distinct countries that have reasonable and fair trade practices among them. But globalism isn't about that. It's about global domination. We're out to take over the whole world. And they've been there doing that for all these generations, and now they're getting closer and closer to their goal. So that's the mega Republican and globalism. Those are the real bad actors above all that need to be fought and opposed at every turn. Thanks for listening.